What is up, guys? This is Nightmare, and today I got a new build video for you. This is my Stamina Dragonite medium armor build for the Horns of the Reach update. The name of this build is Meta Breaker. If you've seen my last Stamina Dragonite build for the Morrowind patch, this build was called Recycled. I rechanged it to Meta Breaker because this build got so much stronger this patch with the changes to the armor sets, the 2, 3, 4 piece, and then the Mundus stones, which this build had the most impact with Mundus stones because of the sets we're using, which I'll go over in a little bit. Okay, so first off, I just wanted to say before I get into the builds, I've been taking a break. I tend to take a break at least a month before updates just to stay fresh with the game, and when I come back to the game, I'm not like tired of it, and I get really excited for new updates when I take a break. Also, I got a new job as an apprentice as a welder, so I haven't really had a lot of time for gaming. But when I was gaming, I was trying out Warframe and was playing a little bit of League of Legends, but whatever. Um, so I'll maybe having a few videos on Warframe, but you guys can still expect content for ESO. Right now I'm just working on looking at all my builds and tuning them, changing them a little bit if I have to for the Horns of the Reach update. So that process shouldn't take me too long. I only have like 4 or 5 builds, and those should be done in like a couple weeks possibly. So this is going to be the first one. This was the one I'm most excited about, and then I'll start making my newer builds that I've been theory crafting. Alright, so enough of the yip yap, let's get right into the builds. Starting off with the armor sets as always. This is the most important part of the build, and this is why this build got so much stronger this patch. So as you can see here, I have a great sword of the Twiceborn Star. Now, Twiceborn Star is the set I'm going to be running. This is going to be my main 5-piece set that is going to give me both sustain and damage. If you're unfamiliar with Twiceborn Twiceborn Star, this is a easily obtained craftable set. And the 5-piece bonus allows you to have 2 Mundus stones, which is why I've been saying this build had the most impact. Compared to any other builds for PvP, this build had the biggest impact with buffs for this patch. 2 Mundus stones, they buffed almost every Mundus stone. The 2 that I was using, Warrior and Serpent. So that's the main reason. And then we're also using all divines, which means we get even more percent bonuses on our 2 Mundus stones, which if you're going to be using Twiceborn Star, you need to have all divines. Now, the way we make up for this, running all divines, we have no impin, so what we're going to be using is Impregnable. Now, Impregnable is going to give us 5-piece bonus for crit resistance. And then again, the 2, 3, 4 piece, 2, 3, and 4 bonus are going to be max health, max stamina, max magicka, the same as Twiceborn Star. So I'm running my 3 impregnable jewelry. All 3 are weapon damage enchants. Don't need any recovery enchants with this build anymore. Going back up to the weapons, I got a Nirnhoned Twiceborn Star 2H sword. Nirnhoned got a huge buff, so we're getting a lot of weapon damage. And I destroyed my other 2 two-handed swords, but we're getting about another 300 weapon damage compared to others. And then our bow is also going to be Twiceborn Star. This is going to be infused, and this is where we have our weapon damage enchant. So from range, we can light attack poison injection, and then we'll get our weapon damage bonus for 5 seconds, allowing us to get insane burst, insane weapon damage. I think I'm above 4,500 weapon damage with this build and over 2,000 stam recovery. I'll have a picture of my screenshots closer to the end of the build. Okay, so next up, I have a Head Divines Twiceborn Star, Jack Divines Twiceborn Star. Again, we're running 5 medium, and right here I have my 1 Kina shoulder. All divines, by the way. All stamina enchants. 5 Twiceborn Star, 5 Impregnable, and 1 Moloch Kina. And then I have a light gloves and a heavy boots impregnable This works because you can get impregnable in light, medium, or heavy. If you wanted to fully optimize your resistance, you would have a light belt and a heavy chest. And then again, all three impregnable, robust jewelry. Make sure it's robust. You can get these in arcane and healthy. You're going to want as much max stamina as possible. While going over my armor and stuff, let me go over the food I use. So this is the best food you can have: max health, max stam, and stam recovery. I tried playing just max health and max stam. You lose out on a lot of recovery. I would try using this food right here. The extra stam recovery you get from Dubious Chimera and Throne is much needed. And then right now I'm just using Essence of Weapon Power potions. Just for the Major Savagery and getting some stamina back. You can also run tripods, or immovable pots are also very great. So that's going to cover my armor and weapons. It's pretty much the same as the recycled build. Only difference is the weapons got changed. The Nirnhone sword and the infused bow. But this, like I said, these armor set combos got insanely buffed to the Twiceborn Star because of the Mundus Stone changes, and it is great. Alright, so next up, let me go over the abilities I'm using. Okay guys, so starting off on my 2H bar, my two-handed sword, I am running Crit Rush. Crit Rush is pretty much a mandatory ability for your gap closer. Having a gap closer is really nice, just being able to instantly get from one place to another, so you don't get kited around. You can stick to your targets, and the further away you are, the more damage it does. And this does very good opener damage. It always crits too, so this is very good. Next up, we have our main CC, main spammable ability also. This is going to be Dizzying Swing. As you can see there, my tooltip unbuffed is 13,000 physical damage. And it also knocks them back for 4 meters, stunning them for 3.5 seconds. Very good ability. You're going to be timing your burst around hitting them with a Dizzying Swing while they're in the air, burst them down. That is when they're most vulnerable, when they're flying through the air. For my third ability, I prefer using Venomous Claw. I know a lot of people, they'll try to buff their weapon damage as much as possible, so they'll slot like Evil Hunter. And Evil Hunter is, Expert Hunter or Evil Hunter is going to give them 10% weapon crit too. But I like the extra pressure with Venomous Claw. It's also a poison damage, so it can proc the poison status effects, but it's also going to do scaling poison damage over time. So as you can see there, 14,000 poison damage over 10.5 seconds, unbuffed. And every 2 seconds, this damage gets increased by 12%. Very good high damage over time ability. Probably the best damage over time ability in the game. So I want to make use of it. And the way I usually use this is starting off here, I will be buffed up. I'm going to crit rush in on my target. I don't have a skeleton dummy at my house, but you crit rush in, and as soon as you get on your target, the first thing you're going to do is light attack Venomous Claw. Okay, so moving back onto the rest of our abilities here. My fourth ability I'm using is Reverse Slice. This is going to be your execute. This is going to be pretty much how you're going to guarantee your kills. As soon as they drop, this is below 50, it'll increase its damage, but you're going to be using this in execution range, which is about 25%, is when you really want to execute with Reverse Slice. This just guarantees kills for you and makes it a lot easier. Once they drop below 25% health or however low they get, this is an instant cast ability, and you can animation cancel it too. So this is going to be a lot faster and do just as much, if not more, damage than Dizzying Swing. The Dizzying Swing has that 1 second cast time, so you may miss out on kills if you try to just finish your kill with Dizzying Swing. With Reverse Slice, it's instant. You can animation cancel it very well, and instant burst damage is great. Now I choose Reverse Slice over Executioner. Reverse Slice is just going to give you that AoE splash damage. whereas Executioner just gives you a little bit more damage, but when they're already at 25% health, that little bit of extra damage isn't going to be really noticeable. Anytime you would really use Executioner is in PvE, like Trials, when they have like huge health bars, and then that extra little bit of percent will bring you more DPS. But since you're hitting a target that roughly has between 5 to 7,000 health at 25% health, the reverse slice is going to do the job just fine. Okay, so we come to our first major buff and heal with our builds. This is going to be a must-have ability for any stamina build in PvP, and this is why you run a 2H. So what we got here is weapon damage by 20% for 33 seconds. Major brutality. So if you're not keeping this buff up, you're going to be hitting like a wet noodle, plain and simple. Also, you're getting a heal over time, a hot, as well as a burst heal. So the longer this thing ticks, as you can see on my buff tracker there, the one on the left, is the major brutality actually. That's the buff icon for major brutality. The one on the right is the heal over time. And the lower that gets, the bigger burst heal you'll get. Okay, so moving back, now I prefer using Take Flight as my ultimate ability, just because it's like a lock-on. So if you're using this, you're going to be hitting your target pretty much, and you're going to be getting your full burst unless they're blocking. Which, like I said before, you want to use your Take Flight or your ultimate whenever they're in the air, floating after using Dizzying Swing. That's going to be your main burst combo. So really, whenever you use this, it's going to be guaranteeing kills. They really shouldn't be blocking when you use this ability. So some things that you can change up with your 2H bar that, again, I'll see a lot of people using is they'll take Expert Hunter, and the reason for that is they get Major Savagery, 10% more weapon crit, and this is also going to give them 3% more weapon damage. And then you can also use Dawnbreaker Smiting. So how Dawnbreaker Smiting works is it's just like an AoE conal ability that you just shoot it down on the ground, and you can miss if you don't use it a lot. But I just feel like Take Flight has a bigger AoE. I believe it costs less, so you can get it up more often. You'll get less stamina and health back from it, but Take Flight is also a gap closer, which is very nice. I prefer Take Flight. So let me just switch my abilities back here, and then we will go over to the bow bar next. Alright, so for the bow bar, I got Poison Injection. This is just going to add to the pressure and the dot, the damage over time. So we got two of those stacking. Venomous Claw, the longer this ticks on them, the more damage it will do. And then Poison Injection, when they get below 50%, it'll increase its damage. Very great combination. Just these two dots alone can do lots of damage. And then you're comboing that with the burst of Dizzying Swing, Take Flight, and your Executioner, all of these being burst damage abilities with the two dots. You can get very, very high kill potential with this build. I just like having Poison Injection also with my bow. Just having that ranged ability is very nice. Second ability, we got Shuffle. This is pretty much a must-have ability for any stamina build. 15% dodge chance for 20 seconds. It also removes snares and immobilizations. 0.5 seconds for each medium piece you're wearing. I believe that's 2.5 seconds for wearing 5 medium. So this is a very good ability. The only downside to this ability is it's very expensive. As you can see, almost 4,000 stamina to cast this. So roughly, let me eat some food real quick actually, since I ran out. And as you can see there, 33.4, 100% takes me down to about 88% stamina with just one cast of Shuffle. So as you can see, it takes up a lot of stamina, but if you're using your champion point passives correctly, after you get CC'd, you want to cast Shuffle. And this pretty much grants your most expensive stamina casting ability for free. So that's how you sustain around Shuffle. Every time you get stunned, you kind of want to use Shuffle. Third ability, we got Volatile Armor. This is going to add to our tankiness stats. As you can see there, physical and spell resistance by over 5,000 for 20 seconds. Also, it has a AoE magic damage for 10 seconds, a dot. I don't use this ability for the damage or the dot. However, you can use it to pull Nightblades or other stealth targets out of stealth. Very great for that. Mostly just used as the tankiness. Giving you a little bit more resistance is very good since we are wearing 5 medium, 1 light, 1 heavy. Fourth ability, Igneous Shield. The main reason why we use this ability is, first off, it's Earthen Heart, so we will get passives from this, such as Mountain's Blessing. Yeah, Minor Brutality is going to be good for giving us more weapon damage, more ultimate regen, and then Helping Hands gives us 1,000 stamina each time we use this. Very great ability for that. Just giving us a little bit more sustain, and since we do have that big magicka pool, we're pretty much dumping excess magicka into stamina. It's also going to give us a small damage shield, so even if you just put this up, if you see like a Nightblade going in stealth right in front of you, you can predict that they're about to jump you. Nightblades usually have really high crit chance or high crit damage, so casting this is gonna, now it's not a lot, and their first ability will eat through that shield guaranteed. However, it will prevent that first initial attack from critting from stealth. Very nice. Just a way to remove some of the burst from stealth targets. But mostly, this is giving you major brutality, or major mending for 3 seconds. Increases healing done. So the combo with this is usually you will always use Igneous Shield first, and then you use your Vigor for bigger Vigor heals. Vigor is your heal over time for 5 seconds. Very nice AoE, as you can see there, but it's mostly you're using it as a self-heal over time. Comboing that with the smaller heal over time here, along with the burst heal is where you're going to get all your survivability with this build. And then lastly, my ultimate on this bar is Werewolf. I don't transform into Werewolf, I'm simply using it for the 15% stam recovery seen there at the bottom. If you weren't to use that, you could always use Magma Armor for a sustained tankiness survivability ultimate. However, this costs twice as much as Take Flight, so I wouldn't really see myself ever using Magma Armor. So I just want a bow passive that is going to give me passive, a ultimate on the bow bar that's going to give me passive stats. You could either use Flawless Dawnbreaker for 5% more weapon damage, but I decided to go with Werewolf for increased weapon recovery. As you can see, I'll show you my unbuffed stam recovery on the 2H is 1700. Switch it to the bow, we are up to almost 1900. So about another 200 stam recovery just from the Werewolf passive, just from slotting that. Alright, so that's pretty much going to cover my abilities. Let me just for the hell of it, I'll show you guys where everything is for any new players, since this can be used by new players. So Poison Injection is there under bow. Shuffle is going to be under medium armor. I feel like some people don't understand is you don't have to wear medium armor to have shuffle. Like here, I'll just, for an example, heavy armor. I'm only wearing 5 medium, but I can put a heavy armor passive on here. Just to show you I can do it, there you go. But shuffle is going to be the way to go. So if you are wearing a heavy armor build, you can still use shuffle. Volatile armor is going to be here under Draconic Power, right there at the top. As you can see, Take Flight's up there too. Igneous Shield is an Earthen Heart. Vigor is going to be an Assault. There. 2H, you got your Crit Rush. Right here in Two-Handed Crit Rush. Dizzying Swing is there too. Reverse Slice and Rally are also there. And then Ardent Flame is where you'll find your Venomous Claw. And then again, Draconic Power is Take Flight. So passives, you're going to want to take all your passives. Passives are the most important thing in any build. If you're not using your passives, pretty much you're you're a lot weaker than you should be. So two-handed passives, bow passives, medium armor passives. I have the champion points, or not the champion points, the skill points to have these passives. However, they are not as mandatory. But I am wearing 5-1-1, 5 medium, 1 heavy, 1 light. So I can get a little bit of more magicka sustain, a little bit more spell resistance. I can get 2% more health and a little bit more sustain and resistance there. Werewolf, again, just for the recovery. Fighter skill passives. You don't really need to use these unless you're using Dawnbreaker of Smiting and Expert Hunter combo. And then Undaunted. Undaunted 9 is going to be recommended for this build if you're going to run 5-1-1, which is going to make it much stronger. You get 6% more max health, max stam, and max magicka. Assault passives. These are all good if you have them leveled. And then for racial choice, I am a Khajiit. I prefer Khajiit for every stamina build I run. All my stamina builds except for my Stamplar are Khajiits. I just like it for the crit chance. As seen here. Carnage. 8% crit chance. We also get stealthy bonus, so if we engage from stealth, we get increased damage done. And then we get a little bit more stam recovery, 10%. Very nice. If you choose not to go with Khajiit, you can also go with Redguard. Redguard is going to give you the best sustain, even more sustain, a bigger stamina pool, so more damage, more healing done, and bigger stamina pool, more stam recovery also, which is very good. I think they have 10% stam recovery, so about the same, but their Adrenaline Rush passive is going to give them more stam recovery. Orc is also good for healing, tankiness, and you can also play Wood Elf. Wood Elf is going to give you some good stam recovery, stealthy bonus again. If you plan on playing more Werewolf with this builds, which you can do, Wood Elf is going to be very good. So yeah, Werewolf is going to be a good thing to do if you want to play as a Wood Elf race. Dark Elf, you can also play as a Dark Elf and Imperial if you want, but I would say the top two picks are going to be Khajiit and Redguard. Alright, so that covers the skills and passives, racial choice, so let's get into the champion points next. Okay guys, so champion points. This is what I feel like most new players have a hard time distributing champion points the correct way. I know personally when I started out playing, I had no clue how to distribute champion points, and then I just kind of got the hang of it, and just did whatever I thought felt good to me. Alright, so first off, we got 64 into Mighty. By the way, this is for max CP. If you're lower CP, just distribute it however you see fit. So max CP, 64 into Mighty is going to give you a good percentage for 13.01, so you're only going to be losing 0.01%. So this is distributed very well. This is keeping in mind the drop points is what I'm pretty much doing. So we get physical and poison damage increased by 13%. I got 40 into Thaumaturge for 16% more damage over time. So this is going to help our Poison Injection and our Venomous Claw damage over time, which is very nice. I have 28 Precise Strikes for 12% increased crit damage, and healing. So our Vigor and our Rally are going to crit heal more. Our Crit Rush is going to hit harder, and anytime we crit, we will be doing more damage pretty much. 12%, very good. Piercing is where I just threw the rest of my points into, all my leftover points. So we have 2,700 more physical penetration. Master at Arms. This is going to be direct damage. So Crit Rush, Dizzying Swing, Reverse Slice, our Take Flight, are all going to be infected by Master at Arms. 19% increased direct damage done. Very nice. And just getting to that flat 19% is good, so we have no wasted points there. So 51 points into Master at Arms is like what I get to in every single one of my builds. It's just perfect. Next up, I have 7 points into Bless just for 2% increased healing done. If you don't want to do that, you can just throw them into Piercing. But I just like to have a little bit more healing done. I usually try to have more, but in this build, I just had slightly less. Since I have Major Mending, so I didn't really need that much. Alright, so for the green tree, I got 11 into Tumbling for 5% reduced rule dodge cost. 1 into Befoul. This was just a junk point I had left over. I had nowhere else to put it, so I threw it into Befoul. 49 into Tenacity. Try to heavy attack. It is going to help your sustain way, way more. I find myself not doing it as much. I did used to have a lot more points in Tenacity, so I took them out and threw them into Mooncalf, just because I don't heavy attack as much as I should. But heavy attacking is very important. 37 into Arcanist. This is going to help you keeping up your volatile armor and spamming Igneous Shield to turn that excess Magicka into stamina. Very nice. 75 points into Mooncalf for 14% flat stam recovery. A very nice percentage to get to for stam recovery. 20 into Warlord, reduces break free by 9%. 27 into Siphoning. This is like a built-in poison into your champion point system. So you can increase the Magicka and stamina, or you're decreasing health, Magicka, and stamina recovery by 7% against anyone you light or heavy attack. Key to this is you're pretty much light and light attack weaving in between all your abilities anyways, so you're gonna get a pretty high uptime on this passive here, or this debuff I should say. Moving on to the red tree, 27 into quick recovery. This is going to help your survivability, your healing you can get to yourself. If you have a healer in your group or your small group, whatever, it'll be easier for them to keep you alive. Also, your rally and your vigor will be healing you more. 49 and 49 into Elemental Defender and Hardy for 11% flat reduced, or shouldn't really say flat. Reduced damage across the board. All damage types are being reduced by 11%. Pretty sure the only thing that's not getting reduced is Oblivion damage. 20 into Thick Skins, 9% reduced damage taken from damage over time. And then up here, I don't even have... that is bad on my part. Okay, so I need... I'll fix this later, but 2 more points, I will probably throw them into Thick Skins. Oh, you want that Unchained passive. I did not realize I did not have this Unchained passive, but I will definitely fix that. So Unchained passive is what I was talking about with Vigor, or excuse me, Shuffle. So after you break free, you cast Shuffle for pretty much free with the Unchained passive. So that is my error. I will be fixing that. Next up we got Ironclad, 28 points, 19, or not 19, jeez, 12% reduced direct damage taken. So this is like the counter to Master at Arms here. So this is going to help our tankiness. And then I do have 38 points in resistance for 1,000 increased crit resistance. Just to help us get to that hard cap on crit resistance, which is between 34 and 3,500 crit resistance. Now, when I say hard cap on crit resistance, a lot of people were arguing that the crit resistance is not 3,400. It is. The only reason why it wouldn't be is because of crit damage multipliers, which would be your Shadow or Nightblade or Templar passives. If you don't, or champion points, precise strikes. Let's say you have no precise strikes points, no Shadow, no Nightblade passives, no Templar passives, and you were sitting at 3,400 crit resistance, and someone crit you, their crit will do the same exact damage as their normal attack. However, there are things like crit damage multipliers in the game, so you will still be taking slightly more damage from the crit, but it is not noticeable at all. So having really high crit resistance is very nice. Oh, and then I threw my remainder points into medium armor focus. 9 points is what I have left over. So yeah, I have 907 more physical resistance. So let me show you guys my buff stats out of combat. And I'm not in Cyrodiil, and this is with CP. So in Cyrodiil, I have like an extra 5,000 health, so about 23 to 24,000 health. So with my rally, Resistance and minor brutality, we got 3,852 weapon damage, 37% weapon crit, very nice, and then we have just slightly over 3,400 crit resistance, 1,700 stam recovery, 18,000 max health, again out of Cyrodiil, and then 33,000 max stam. I have 64 points into stamina. I am running the warrior and the serpent with dubious command throne food. Let me show you buff stats on the bow. My bow is not gold. We have 18 or almost 1900 stam recovery, 2800 weapon damage on the bow with 42% crit, and all stats are pretty much the same. So I will be showing a screenshot right here of all my buff stats in combat, which is very, very impressive. So right here. Okay, so that covers my buff stats of the builds. I hope you guys enjoyed the builds. I've been enjoying it a lot since returning to the game. I haven't touched any of my other characters yet, so I haven't really seen how they are. But this build feels so much better now. The meta breaker, it's fantastic. With all the buffs they did to Horns of the Reach with Munda Stones and armor changes and stuff like that, this build feels just much, much better. It feels like an actual like build now. Before it was kind of just like me trying to do something cool, something different, you know. It wasn't best in slot in any way. It was pretty much underperforming compared to other builds, and it would definitely take a highly skilled player to perform well in it. Stam recovery was not optimal. Weapon damage was decent. Your burst was decent. But now, stam recovery and stamina sustain is so much better with the serpent buff, and then your weapon damage is insane, as you could just see. My burst damage is completely just like out of this world. My burst potential is awesome. And this works in CP and in non-CP. I mostly play non-CP, and my damage and survivability and sustain is just as good in non-CP. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the builds. I definitely know I sure have been enjoying this build. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns on the build itself, if you want to talk shit about it, go ahead and do so. That's fine by me. If you want to praise it or share it to your friends, guildmates, whatever, that would be awesome. I'm still trying to build up my personal guild. This is the guild shack. I'm not going to call it a guild hall because it is very tiny. But as you can see here, I built like a platform up top above the ground itself, and I was hoping to have like duels and stuff here. So just to show you it to you guys a little bit, right across here, another little elevated platform for people to like stand around and watch the duels down below. So I enjoyed making this. It was a lot of fun, but I haven't had anybody to come around and actually do any dueling in here yet. Yeah, if you are interested in the guilds for dueling, for PvP, whatever, please let me know. And please remember to like and subscribe for the channel. Again, subscribe for all future builds that I will be updating, and I have a few new, very unique builds. Again, the theme of my channel is I try to make builds that are very reliable and still perform very well, but I make builds that are my own. I don't copy anybody else's builds. I try to quote unquote break the meta with my builds. Like all my stamina builds are medium armor. Medium armor on certain builds aren't the best. So if you like builds that are different but still very strong, this channel is definitely for you. Alright, so with that, I will see you all next time.